All right, guys, welcome back to Kicking It with Kunkel. We have a Rockets-filled episode today. What happened in Game 7? What needs to happen going forward in order for what happened in Game 7 to never happen again? And how do we get out of the first round? All of that you can hear from Ime Udoka, Rafael Stone, the general manager, in just a little bit. If you missed last week, awesome conversation, by the way, with the athletic director of Houston, Eddie Nunez. We talked about everything football. The fact that they don't get football on track and going, that athletic department has a very low ceiling because football is king. Football rules everything in America. And when realignment hits, as it will hit eventually, Houston needs to be ready with football because all decisions are made with football in mind. As good as basketball has been, there's a lower ceiling to basketball than with football. We also talked about Kelvin Sampson and getting him a new deal. And is his son, Kellen, actually the head coach in waiting? You want to hear his answer to that question and how they're going about kind of working through all that on the episode of Kicking It with Kunkel from last week prior. It's all on YouTube. It's all on Fox Local. Like it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Fox 26 Houston's YouTube channel. And, of course, comment. Let's have some conversations. Find me on X. Find me on Instagram at Will Kunkel everywhere. Okay. So the Game 7 of Rockets-Warriors was extremely frustrating to watch because the Rockets, in my opinion, I still believe this. I think they have the better roster compared to the Warriors. They have more talent. It's a deeper roster, but they're not a better team, at least not yet, because good teams don't beat themselves. And the Rockets beat themselves in that series far too many times against a team that has been there, that has done that. They can kind of sacrifice a game here and there because they know what to do and how to handle the next game and how to bounce back and what it takes to win a series. The Warriors showed that they know about that. The Rockets have a lot of room to grow, and they have a lot to learn when it comes to learning how to win, especially in the playoffs. Ime and Rafael, when we talked to them the other day, had some great insight about what they want to do going forward, what they saw in that playoff series, and what they saw throughout the regular season. Because make no mistake about it, this team is going in the right direction, proverbially like a rocket. So let's go back to 2020, or we can go 2019 when they finished in first place, 44 wins, and obviously that's when they broke it all down after that. In the past 5 years, 17 wins. 20 wins, 22 wins, 41 wins finally with Ime in the building, and then 52 wins. Second seed in the West, first place in the Southwest, which means absolutely nothing, into the playoffs, and then they lose in Game 7 against the Warriors. So the team is heading in the right direction. The problem is so much was expected of them because of their good roster that we saw so many flaws on the playoffs, and the regular season compared to the playoffs is so different. Here's Rafael Stone talking about why it's so important to play hard through the regular season, but simply playing hard and relying on that foundation is just not enough come to playoff time.
I think it's less what we learned and more it's a learning opportunity. That's how I think about it, which is like the grind of a series is different from the regular season, and the intensity, just this is a compliment to Ime. My favorite thing about this team is I felt from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, we were the hardest playing team in basketball. And that's really a testament to him and his staff, and obviously to our players as well. But that'll get you over in the regular season in a way it won't get you over in the playoffs because everybody plays hard in the playoffs. And so getting our guys to realize that, not getting them to realize that, them having the opportunity to feel what that's like. I just think it's a tremendous learning opportunity. And some of it we picked up on the fly. We for sure improved through the course of those 7 games. But I think the bulk of that opportunity is to come, where they get a chance to reflect on it and incorporate it and work through the summer and work through next year. So that's more how I think about it.
So with that being said, in Game 7, you can't allow simple opportunities to elude you. And when you miss 32 shots in the lane, look at this shot chart. Look at all the misses in the lane. You're going to miss jumpers. You're going to miss threes. Fine, so be it. But all these misses in the lane, it's unacceptable. You can't have that many. That's 64 points that they left on the court in Game 7 at home against the Warriors. The Warriors are going to make you pay. Buddy Hield did just that, and then Steph Curry went off in the fourth quarter. They did what they do best when it mattered most. Here's what the Rockets need to learn. They need to take it at the opponent. When you go into the lane, don't expect contact hoping to finish. Go in delivering contact, initiating contact, and finish. And if you don't finish, fine. But if you go in initiating, then you're going to get the call, and you're going to finish a lot more often if you initiate the contact and deliver it versus if you go in expecting it and receiving it. Go in as the alpha male. Go in giving that physicality, not taking it. That's what's got to be so different going forward for the Rockets. They got to learn that in the playoffs, it's such different basketball. In the regular season, it's not nearly as physical. It's not nearly as intense, and it's not whistled the same. So I'll bet, just for argument's sakes, 10 of those calls get called in the regular season that don't get fouls in the playoffs. You've got to know that. So just go in and lower your shoulder and finish. Again, deliver that contact. And then let's talk about Alperen Sengun and Jalen Green. What do you want to do first? All right, let's do Alperen Sengun because it's more quick for him. He needs to get his touch to be more consistent. Ime Udoka talks about this all the time, and I think this is kind of one of the micro of all the macro. Be more consistent. You want to be more consistent as a team offensively. You want to be more consistent defensively as a team. But within that, Alperen Sengun's got to be more consistent. He's got to be better in the lane. And his touch, it's weird. It kind of seems to come and go at times, and it was gone in Game 7. He shot the ball horribly, and they're easy shots. That's the problem. When you miss 27 straight threes, as the Rockets did back in the day, like that comes and goes. It's crazy, 0 for 27. But when you live and die by the three, a lot of times you can die. It's hard to live and die by layups and bunnies and hook shots and little baby hook shots, as Alperen likes to do so much. But in that Game 7, he played 40 minutes. He shot 9 of 23, 21 points. Highly inefficient to have 23 shots and only 21 points. So he's got to get a whole lot better. Here are the guys talking about what they want to see from Alpi and what the goal is with him and growing his game for next year.
This offseason, there's not a ton of international stuff, so we'll get to spend a little bit more time with our guys than we did last year with the national team stuff. And so that's the plan as always, and it doesn't stop for us. It's more of the same, and I think you saw the growth with Alpi in a lot of ways, and look for him to take another step, and we'll have specific coaches with him again. And so that's the plan for all our young guys, spend as much time as possible.
Now let's get into Jalen Green. I don't know if this is a hot subject or a contentious subject, but there's so much talent with Jalen, which is what makes it so frustrating watching him play. He was hoping, watching him, it felt like he was hoping the game would come to him. He's got to go get that thing. Like, he's got to grab the game and take over the game. He's got to be aggressive. And don't tell me that it was the Warriors that took him out of the game and that they blitzed him and that was their entire goal. Because we all know that's what it is. That's what you do. That's what you do to Steph Curry. That's what you do to LeBron James and Luka Doncic and Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen back in the day. Whoever the star player is. But if you allow that to work and you're not effective in 7 games, in 6 games, then you're not a star. Because if taking a guy out of the game was just that simple, there would be no superstars in the league. There'd be no stars. Jalen afterwards talked about the fact he's got to be more aggressive. He's got to be better. Here's what he said.
Just being aggressive. Can't let a team take me out of the game, no matter what the scheme is. I got to continue to go out there, be myself. And I just didn't do that.
Okay, but you got to have that revelation after Game 1 and then come out and do what he did in Game 2, 38 points. But then what happened in Game 3, in Game 4, in Game 5, in Game 6, in Game 7, like several games? Jalen's got to be better in at least one of them. He was just non-existent, and I know he played good defense, so give credit where credit is due. But you can't be the best offensive perimeter player and be virtually irrelevant. And he's not really making that many plays for other people. Yes, he's getting a hockey assist. Yes, he's doing some things. So he's not literally invisible. But if you're going to be the best perimeter player on the Rockets, you've got to be noticed for something positive. Too often he wasn't. And too often we talked about it as his first time in the playoffs. Okay, but we won 7 games. Like, he had to get his feet wet at some point. He's also been in the league for 4 years. When you're in the NFL and you start talking about rookies, by week 10 or 11, every veteran and every coach will say they're no longer rookies. Those guys are no longer rookies after X amount of weeks in the league, let alone 4 years in the NBA. 4 years times 82 is however many games they've now played. Jaylen has to be better, or I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong, that means my standard is too high for Jaylen. Like, it's not, Jaylen isn't exceeding his contract. Once you get that contract, you've got to play up to that contract. He didn't do that. He didn't do it on the biggest stage when they needed him most. And to his credit, he knows it. But it's not a one and done. This isn't the NCAA tournament or the NFL playoffs where, like, you now have a year to reflect. You had 2 nights after game 1. Kudo showed up in game 2. You had a night after game 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. And it just never clicked. It never happened. I don't know if Ime should have benched him or played him less, or he didn't play a whole lot in game 6. I don't know what the coaching answer is, and I don't go after coaches for minutes because minutes are determined primarily in practice and what guys do. And listen, Ime knows the game a whole lot better than you do or I do combined. So I don't know that he didn't make the right call, but I think because there's so much to be had with Jaylen's game that you hope it finally clicks, and it happens because he did it during the regular season. He was valuable to this team in the regular season so many times. But as we saw, it's different in the playoffs. Here's what Ime and Rafael said about Jaylen at the end of the year press conference.
Jaylen didn't have the series that he wanted to have, or we didn't. But I think, you know, it's a little bit of a double-edged sword in terms of trying to evaluate it, because their goal going into the series was to take him out, and that was obvious. One playoff series doesn't define a player, but also I think in particular with him and that, yeah, like if a team's going after you like that, they're going after you like that.
It's a compliment to him that teams will go after him to that extent, and you saw it throughout the season. He had, some practice at it, and we got better at it. We went through some growing pains, no doubt. I think physically getting stronger to absorb contact on some of his drives when he has the advantage, or finishing at the rim when he does get the driving lane. All those things are things we talked about with him going into the offseason, and able to use him off ball a little bit more. And you got to get a little bit stronger as far as that, because they took him out of some of those actions where they couldn't trap.
So listen, I love the fact that they're kind of being at least a little bit honest there, that Jaylen just didn't have the series that he wanted, that they wanted, that everybody wanted, because, again, everyone sees the talent, so the standard is high. If the standard shouldn't be up here, then let us know. Tell us that, and we'll lower the standard, and we'll put Jaylen where he belongs in that realm. No longer a star player, no longer the best perimeter player for them. Because right now, Amen Thompson, wherever you want to play him, 1 through 5, he did it all. He played great defense. He stepped up offensively. Now in the offseason, they have got to lock him in the gym and put him behind that three-point arc. It's boring brand of basketball. It's not fun to watch. Like the Celtics, watching them shoot 63s in game 1 of their series against the Knicks is horrible basketball. But the analytics say you need to be able to shoot the 3 at the very least, if not, frankly, just strictly. So Amen has got to become a better three-point shooter. He was just not good this year. And, fine, develop your game. LeBron was not a very good three-point shooter when he entered the league, and he became a good three-point shooter. Amen can develop that. That's the next thing he's got to do in this offseason. Here's what they had to say about Amen's game.
He's a extremely hard worker, a grinder like all of our guys are. We never had to complain about that, of guys not putting in the work. And so he views himself as one of the best, if not the best, at what he's trying to be. And there's no real ceiling for him. He's going to continue to ascend like that. But the understanding, he catches on very quickly. And once he does some things, he applies it and kind of puts it in his memory bank. And just his versatility, as he's much different. We use him in much different ways than what he did his whole career, and he's adapted to all those things very well. And so ultimate Swiss Army knife. You put him in any position, 1 through 5 he guards, 1 through 5 he has played, and gives us a ton of luxury and versatility to have a guy like that. But yeah, sky's the limit, no ceiling on what he wants to be, and the work he puts in just showed that.
So going forward, like, what do the Rockets do? They can't just run it back. Although I will say the fact that this team has so much more potential than a lot of teams that kind of flame out in the first series because they're young and they have so much young talent. This team will get better, ideally, if they just work their ass off in the offseason and they return better players into next season. But I think they got to make some tweaks. I think we see a lot more Reed Shepherd next year. At least that'll be the idea because they need a great shooter. Reed is a great shooter. By all accounts and all sources, everyone loves his game in that building offensively and say he's really good. He's got to become a great defender if you want to play for Ime Udoka. But who's in? Who's out? Who's being shipped off? Do you trade Alperen Şengün because you can get something in return for him? And he's not a great three-point shooter. That's something else that you've got to be able to extend. All bigs these days, you extend to the three-point line, and it's such a difficult guard. And he can't guard big guys. That's why Steven Adams was such a great addition for his team. But you obviously don't build around Steven. But I love what he brings this team nonetheless as well. So who do you bring back? Do you bring back Jaylen because he is young? Alpy's younger than Jaylen, by the way. Cam Whitmore, what's the future for him? He said at one point during the regular season he had no idea what his role was. And I actually asked Ime Udoka, what do you do in the offseason with Cam? Here's what he said about those comments that Cam made and the discussions they've had throughout the regular season.
Yeah, I was a little caught off guard by that as well because we've had in-depth conversations with Cam, probably more than anybody. And so, I'm pretty clear with what is going to get you on the court and what's going to help you sustain a role. And so, yeah, I'll leave it at that as far as that, but plenty of conversations, very clear with what's needed. And, opportunities are there and not always taken advantage of, or, other guys step up and play a little better at times, and you're looking for that consistency there. And so we'll have our exit meetings. We had about 5 or 6 yesterday, and we'll catch the other guys before they leave town and reiterate a lot of points, but ton of potential there. Just the consistency is the main thing, and he knows that.
So as for Cam, I think there's minutes to be had there for him if he understands what his role is and if he can buy into that. You got to buy in. That's such a big thing in sports and life and your job. Whatever it is that you're doing, you got to buy into whatever that is, and they got to communicate what it is, and it sounds like they did do that to Cam Whitmore because the dude is a bucket if he wants to be out there, but there's a lot more to the game, especially in Ime's system, to do that, to get those minutes. Let's see what else. Future's bright for this team. Like, it truly, really is. But what do you do to add to the team? Because if you're not changing and adapting and growing, you're falling behind in leagues, especially in the NBA. I don't love the Kevin Durant trade idea because you'll probably have to give up way too much, and I don't know how much is left in his tank. He's obviously a great player. I love his work ethic from everybody I've talked to that worked with him with the Nets. The guy just lives, breathes, and dies basketball, works his ass off, and that permeates throughout the building from everyone that I've talked to. But I don't know how much you want to give up to get that and for how long Kevin is going to be super impactful. Like, the Suns stink. The Suns weren't good, and they had Booker, they had Durant, 2 guys that you want on your team. So kind of an interesting dynamic there. Is Booker the guy that you want to go out and get? I think Booker's more the guy because if it's Giannis, I don't know that Giannis, as good as he is, and he is awesome, is the right piece for this team. In basketball, it's so much about getting great pieces, yes, but do all those pieces fit together? That's the hard part to do. And I don't know that he, as great as he is of a piece, that he fits with the rest of this team because he can't shoot the ball. He's not a good free throw shooter. We saw that haunt this team in the playoffs. And he's certainly not a good three-point shooter. And we saw that haunt this team all year. So I don't know. Maybe you make some other moves that allow Giannis to do what Giannis does, but then also if you bring in Reed and Reed gets more minutes, fine. I don't know. But here's what Rafael Stone said about who's tradable, who's untradeable, etc.
The untouchable, like the business we're in, nobody, myself included, nobody's untouchable, And so, I wouldn't want to say that. But but everybody on our roster we deeply value, and so I think you have to be careful with your words there. I have to be careful with my words. You can do whatever you want with yours. In terms of, we have those picks. We accumulated them so that we could either draft guys in the future or upgrade our current roster. Time will tell what we do with it, or flip them into the future, which we've done a couple of times. And we'll see what makes the most sense at the time.
I love that answer because it's not BS. You're always taking phone calls. You're always seeing who's available, what's out there. Are your guys available? What can you get back? Because if you're not doing your job. No one's untouchable. Everybody is movable and everybody is tradable because you don't, like, what if you said Alperen Şengün is untouchable? Then someone called and said, here's 5 first-round picks and this guy. Well, all of a sudden he's not untouchable. Like, nobody's untouchable in this business. So I love that answer from Rafael Stone. Another answer that I loved from him and Ime was, I think it was Vanessa that asked them, what's your culture? What's your identity on this team from this season? And he said something to the effect of, like, we work our ass off. We win games by playing defense and rebounding the ball. We can go out there and shoot some threes, but I'd much rather go out there and play this way versus that way. Here's a little bit of what he said.
There's different ways you can win, and there's different ways you can lose. You can win a game by making every three-pointer and playing horrific defense and never getting a rebound. You can win a game never making a three-pointer and playing the world's best defense and rebounding. I'm my personality, just me, I'm way more comfortable trying to win in version 2 of that than version 1. And if I'm okay. If I feel like we left it all on the table, I can lose and be okay. I struggle if I feel like we're soft or not, or getting outworked.
You saw the competitiveness, scuffles and scratch, all the things from last year, and I think we've only increased that as guys have grown, and will continue to when they get more confident, more physically stronger, and all those things, and bodes well for us going forward. That's laid, and now we got to work on everything else, the skill sets, the IQ, and just continue to grow as a group.
I love that so much because it travels. It travels on the road. That's a mindset, and that permeates throughout the entire building as well. And it's like the fundamentals of basketball that I love. It's like in football. Yeah, you can win games, especially in the regular season at times, by throwing the ball X amount, 100 yards, 500 yards per game, and throwing it all over the yard. But in the playoffs, will that work? Can you stop the run? Can you run the ball? Are you good up front? It comes down to the simple things and the fundamentals in sports at the biggest moments. In baseball, yeah, you can hit 1,000 home runs during the regular season, but come playoff time, can you feel the ball? Can you get on base? And can you play smart? Like, can you just move the runners over? Because you're going to have, if you live and die by the home run, you will inevitably possibly flame out unless you're some elite team like the Dodgers that if a guy goes cold, he doesn't have any home runs, you have 8 other guys that hit singles, move the runners over, and then pitch well. Pitch well, field well, and just get on base, move the runners over, move that line. Like, it's the simple things in all sports. In basketball, don't crumble, right? Like, just make shots. I know that sounds simple, but just make the simple shots. That way you don't have to live and die by the 3, the proverbial home run in baseball. Just do the simple things, defense and rebound, and you're going to be in a lot of games, and then complement that identity and that culture with some elite talent offensively, and you're really good. And that's what the Rockets, I think, are going to be with these guys in charge. I'm a huge fan of Ime and the way he coaches, the way he has a standard, the way he holds his team accountable. I love it. And I love a lot of things that Stone said as well in his press conference based on that and how it permeates through the building. I think that's so healthy because it's so tough to coach the way Ime does if you don't have the support of that mindset around you. Guys will flame out in that system really quickly, and that's good because then you can identify who's good for your system. If someone's not good, you don't want them there, especially in that system. So anyway, tough ending for the Rockets, but a bright future for this team, especially with Ime and Rafael at the helm of all the basketball decisions. I love it. Trying to think what else we should get to before we wrap this thing up. I would love your comments below of what you think the team should do, what they can't do, and try to take, I mean, it's impossible to take your emotions out of any sports conversation. I understand that, but get rid of this bum, get rid of that bum. Well, who are you replacing with? Just think of the next move of what happens if you do that, because there's a lot of moves that are possible, but I don't know that they're smart. Anyway, I think that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Kickin' with Kunkel. Like the episode, subscribe to the channel on YouTube. It's on Fox Local as well, and share it and get involved a little bit. I love the conversations with you guys. It's the best. It's now approaching football season in the offseason because the NFL dominates the calendar. We're going to get the schedule release here soon. We know who the Texans are playing. We don't know when and where they are playing. And, of course, we're in the heart of Astros season. Right now, Jordan's got to get healthy. He's not been very good this year. I think he's hitting 210 as I sit here and talk to you. So getting him on, you don't lose a lot with him on the IL for the next 14 or 13 days because it's retroactive to May 3rd. But get him healthy because this team is a very short lineup. We've talked about it in the offseason. I said it coming into the year. The Astros offense is not what you're expected to seeing on a night in and night out basis. Usually you have like a pretty damn good hitter in that 7-8 hole, and then like Maldi and 9. That's not the team this year. You're very, very top heavy. And if you don't have Jordan, you're very, very, very top heavy. So Christian Walker, Isaac Paredes, they got to step it up right now. I love what Jeremy Pena is doing, and I love what Jose Altuve is doing, as he does every single year. So anyway, that's going to do it for Kickin' with Kunkel. I appreciate y'all. Like, click, subscribe. You know what to do. Peace.